Fast forward, any come out our channel so AGH Politics Avenue. On your podcast or say trend make headlines. And a jump any be exom or any dimia who racks you must any ED Kanya. I was subscribe to the channel. Omari aso bit me, I hate your notification banner. Now, afi, what me elevate comment constructively under the comment section. Na any dima yambo ingra a highways in a dem I enyas and put to Accra. Now, OSP, you see a jabbing. Asa I na any beam. Only this time around, or say only 24th of November, which is Monday, Kenoferiata or be tried in absentia. Let's have a funny one pass. Only had the Nimono or the no be called Akujina a year emrano. Now, quite do our dear Bono. Say courts, everything is simu. This would differ. So be Jano, say Obetuna soon, even though we had here, Nimono. You obey say, or the query no ever turn so. Next say, down come a biana, say, Papano ever drew o my ma, and ye na emra, and an idea, Eddie. Now, lawyer Martin Kpebu practice legal, or illegal practitioner, let me put it that way. Now, also approve into the matter. Now, also suja Ediagu OSP, initiative with you. You walking in and say, you catch your maybe a pim, say papano, senka ebeya. To swan pass when you see, dear. Omra acquire in Sempofra, omba. Why not say? Only in Benya and Gutamudie or in Tintin Fidianiso. Ebeboa, Emma, what me any supportive document be? Emma, what the account docket or I beg your pardon or docket to whom a day, a quack or dine court. Na make a celebrate lawyer Martin Kpebu wajemre yemon rem abra or fifth in semi shall swam say GH Politics Avenue.
Bouts of the former finance minister
to solicit an answer from an honorable minority leader. He gave us authoritative information that by February 18th the honorable former finance minister was going to be in Ghana. So I'm saying, where is the former finance minister? I thought you were going to tell us his whereabouts. Ministers of finance who have occupied that office after their tenure, they remain in this country. Where is our former finance minister? Where is he?
The records would bear me out that indeed, when the respected former finance minister had issue with the OSP, which mattered the majority leader himself, came to apologize. He used the dispatch box to apologize on behalf of government for the mishandling of the whole matter. We as leaders owed a responsibility and a duty in the matter. I, right here, indicated that Mr. Kenoforiata had written to the OSP through his lawyers that he was going to be in the country on or before May, not July. This was in February. Mr. Speaker, in the letter, Mr. Kenoforiata again indicated that he had been booked for surgery. When the time came and his doctors further advised that the surgery will require some healing process, Mr. Speaker, he again wrote, this time not only a letter by his lawyers, the letter from his doctors. It is not a matter of I resigning or making a promise and failing to honor that. Let's put things in proper context. All I want Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim to understand is that when it comes to ill health, our medicals, all of us may go through it one way or the other. If a man is going through a serious medical condition, how many of us will be bold to disclose our medical record? But the man has disclosed his medical record. Mr. Speaker, that hospital where he's receiving treatment is a renowned medical hospital in the United States. Let's be fair to Kenoforiata. Let's be fair. It can be you tomorrow.
giving an impression that members on this side are insensitive to the medical condition of Ken Ofori-Atta. That is the impression you have sought to give. Mr. Speaker, Ken Ofori-Atta was very sick in this country. You could see the sickness in his face. By that time, it was sweet to be a finance minister. It was sweet to be a finance minister. In spite of the ill health, he persisted and insisted on remaining in this country as a finance minister. How come that suddenly, because today he is being sought after by the law enforcement agencies, he cannot live in this country and is claiming illness? He was sick when he was finance minister. We all saw it. He was sick.
Right, so that's what ensued in Parliament. So clearly, our finance minister, the former finance minister, can't be found, or at least there is an assumption of where he is at the moment. Some say he's in the United States, confirmed by his lawyers. But our conversation this evening with private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu is focusing on what the Office of the Special Prosecutor has said, which is that on Monday, he is taking Ken Ofori-Atta and 6 others to the court because he has slapped some 78 charges or leveling some 78 charges against them. Now that we don't know where he is or can't find him and serve him, what happens to the case? Is that even possible? Mr. Martin Kpebu, good evening. Thank you for joining us on News 360. Thank you again. Kindly unmute for us. But while at that, my first question will be, where do you stand on this debate? Much earlier, you were even saying that if Ken is not willing to come, the OSP could initiate processes to maybe start the trial in absentia. Give us some education on that. Could he still go ahead from Monday to start the trial in absentia?
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, yes.
Okay. No, he can't start like that. Under the law, Article 19, Clause 3A, he has to present evidence to the court to show that he has notified Ken Ofori-Atta about the trial. So the notification is very important. So maybe evidence of DHL delivery or FedEx, any other email, all the various ways of proving that the Ken Ofori-Atta has been notified about the trial. That is what Article 19, Clause 3A of our Constitution requires. But then, before maybe you go elsewhere and I don't get to mention, you see, my main point is that Kissi Ejabi has to leave because he allowed Ken Ofori-Atta to travel. All of this is on Kissi Ejabi's head. This absentia, trial and absentia, etc. Okay, yeah, let's continue.
Right. Yeah, so still on that tangent, you are saying that although he's already gone to court or says that he's going to hold them before court, the trial of Ken Ofori-Atta specifically can only commence if he is served with a right to appear before the court. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely, yes. That's what our Constitution requires.
Right.
That the trial, to paraphrase the Constitution, Article 19, Clause 3A, says the trial of an accused person can take place in his absence if it is proven that he was notified about the trial, notified, with all emphasis on notified about the trial, and he fails to attend. So once you give the court credible evidence of notification, credible, and this one, because it's a criminal trial, the judge would ask for the most cogent, okay, most, reliable, extremely reliable evidence that Ken Ofori-Atta has been said. So then, you see why now we should be blaming Kissi Ejabi once again, unless, of course, he's done it on our blind side.
Right.
Ofori-Atta offered to engage the OSP via Zoom. That's virtual, not just Zoom. Zoom is one of the virtual ways of communicating. Virtually. We should have taken it. So if we had done these interviews, Ofori-Atta, where is this? Then he answers everything that can be done virtually. Can you imagine that this would have boosted the reliability of any form of communication? So then you do some via email. Okay. So if you sent the charges to him, that's a charge sheet and a fact sheet to him via email, the judge will accept because he can show that, oh, I've been communicating with Oforiatta through email.
Okay.
And then if you did post, you ask him for his this mailing address, then you send it. Because now I'm wondering, but well, we'll hold our horses. If eventually Kisi Ejabe listen to our advice and engage Oforiatta quietly, we'll find out on Monday.
On Monday, yeah, certainly.
Because
certainly
he will
following,
have to inform the court how he served Oforiatta.
Right, and following his correspondence he's had with him in the early days, it's likely he may have, like you're saying, we'll find out on Monday. And briefly, the remaining 6, can they be tried because they are in the same boat with Ken Oforiatta when it comes to the SML GRA deal, which the OSP is taking to court? So if Ken is absent, the remaining 6, can the trial go ahead with them?
Yeah, yes, but let's say this. When I say yes, it means very limited. The part of the trial that can go ahead on Monday, even if Oforiatta has not been served, is the matter of taking the plea. That's the one that they will ask the accused, are you guilty or not guilty? That's after reading the charges. Then the accused will say guilty or not guilty. So the judge can decide to take the pleas of those who appear on Monday. And then, in case there is no evidence that Oforiatta has been served, then the judge will adjourn that one for another day. But in terms of the trial itself, like when I say the trial itself, the one they will enter the box and talk, the one you hear, you and I were not there, those things, that one, the judge will do all of it together. He will not do the one for Crescent and Co separate and then come back and do Oforiatta's own different. No, no.
Thank you. Thank you, Counsel, for your time. Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner, and in the coming days, we'll certainly be hearing more of how all of this plays out.
Meanwhile, lead sponsor of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, John-in-Tim Fordjour, has demanded the laying of the Anti-LGBTQ bill next week, expressing disappointment about the posturing of the majority. A request for weekly updates on the Galamsey fight and the purchase of new aircraft dominated the debate on the 2026 budget.
The issue of the purchase of new aircraft as part of the retooling of the Ghana Air Force yet again took center stage of the debate on the 2026 budget.
They want to blow several billions of cedis, 3.6 billion cedis in the budget on luxury aircraft. 2 luxury jets, in addition to the so-called pristine Falcon, all for the luxury and transportation of the president and the executive. Couldn't one have been enough? There is not a single allocation to acquisition of fighter jets. So now, any aircraft can get into potentially our airspace, and the might expected of our Air Force to confront such unauthorized flights that has been jettisoned. President Akuffo ordered that we procure 6 fighter jets for the Air Force. This House supported the deal. But where are the jets? Where are the jets? How did the deal end? That deal did not go through because of the reckless management of this country's economy. If we are saying that we would acquire 2 transport aircraft for the Ghana Air Force, it is because it is a requirement of the Air Force itself, and the ranking member knows this. It is not just about a presidential jet, Mr. Speaker. Did President Akuffo not procure the Dassault Falcon 300? When President Akuffo acquired it, did he ever sit in that jet as president for 1 day? No. I ask you the question. Did he ever sit in it for 1 single day? He did not.
Proponent of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, John-in-Tim Fordjour, yet again raised what he calls his disappointment over what he foresees to be a deliberate attempt to delay the laying of the anti-LGBTQ bill before the House for consideration and passage.
There seems to be a very, very conspicuous silence on this. Mr. Speaker, the House must not create the impression that what was a priority in the 8th Parliament has suddenly been thrown under the carpet. The attempt by this government, by blocking this bill and blocking it from being featured, is a big disappointment to the people of this country. We demand that if it was oversight or error, it must be added to the order paper so that next week it is laid and presented for first reading because on record, it has satisfied all the processes by the dictates of our standing orders.
It's not an attempt by government, and President John Dramani Mahama has indicated time and again that any moment that the bill is brought before him, he will expeditiously sign it. Even though in the 8th Parliament, I really didn't see you actively involved in having this bill passed. I know you were a sponsor of the bill. All of a sudden, you think that this is an urgent matter. And also, when we were all putting pressure on President Akuffo Addo to sign, I didn't see you helping us to put pressure on President Akuffo Addo. I didn't see you. Now you have found your voice.
A number of demands were made from the minority side, including the request that the Lands Minister be made to brief the House once every week on the fight against illegal mining. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Parliament.
We're staying in Parliament because the 2026 budget debate continued, and we're now going to hear from the Member of Parliament for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Bawumia, who had issues with the time that the budget was presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesel Atto-Forson.
For the first time in many years, the budget of this country was read around 5:37 p.m. It's very important to make that point, Mr. Speaker. Not during Kwesi Botche's time, not during Kwame Pepra's time, Safo Mafo's time, Baredu's time, up to Atto-Forson first. Mr. Speaker, there's a reason why your budgets must be read during prime time. When our budget was read at 5:37 p.m. this year, our major creditors were all asleep. Some of them were just waking up. The Chinese were asleep. The Australians were just waking up. Our European partners were at dinner. Ghanaians were rushing home to go and sleep after work. It tells you and gives you the reason why the markets did not respond positively to our budgets this year. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the cover page of this year's budget, you can see a clear Photoshop of a certain express road that the minister spoke about, that he was going to construct an express road to Kumasi. Mr. Speaker, what is the crime of the people of this country, especially those of us who ply that road to our villages, especially from Accra to Paga and to Boko? For 8 years, from 2009 to 2016, not a single kilometer of road was added by the NDC government. Yes. Yes. You come into government again, and instead of you prioritizing with the completion of the dualization of the Accra-Kumasi road, you are telling us that you are going to construct an express road. From which funds? It's a complete misplaced priority. What Ghanaians want to see is the completion of the dualization project that was started by the Akuffo administration. Yes. Then you can even look at that, because even the financial models do not help you. How are you going to construct this? Through a PPP arrangement? And how much are you going to charge road users? It's for you to take that decision. But Mr. Speaker, let me share this data with you.
Away from that note, in Parliament, President John Dramani Mahama has urged coastal fishing communities to avoid illegal practices during the upcoming closed season, even though artisanal fishers remain exempt from the ban. Speaking at the National Fisheries Day celebration here in Accra, he indicated that new naval vessels are being procured to strengthen coastal monitoring to help ensure compliance across Ghana's territorial waters.
Exemption from closed season fishing. As you are aware, artisanal fishers have been exempted from the closed season. So I encourage you to reciprocate by not doing anything illegal during the closed season. We're also in the process of acquiring 2 new offshore patrol vessels for the Ghana Navy to be able to patrol our shores. And then finally, in this year's budget 2026, money has been allocated for the establishment of 2 fish markets, one in Dambai in the Oti region and the other in Shama district. I've noted your request for a fish market in Accra, and I wish to say that it will receive favorable consideration.
Let's take you to the northern part of the country. The IGP's Special Operations Team has seized a firearm and arrested 19 suspects in an intelligence-led swoop in the...
We ain't sema hodu akoso ewo channel so. Mamina wa sawo jemre ewo hada sene so body ndia dumbi edomie. Besan bo rem na ya somo kwanso.